Can Nectar 3 make this? And I sound like this. Let's find out. iZotope have released Nectar 3, a new version of their vocal plugin, and the question is it Harry Potter kind of magic or just gumption kind of magic? I'm eager to find out, but before I do, I just want to thank Ilan Matudi and Scott Holmes for their contributions on my last video, which you can watch here somewhere, and they suggested some awesome titles for the piece of music in that video. So thanks to you guys, and thanks to everybody who has watched and subscribed and liked and shared my videos. You guys are fantastic because this is a brand new channel, so everything gets a huge reaction here, in fact. So I am most thankful. So let's get nectarizing. Okay guys, so here we are in Studio One, my DAW of choice, but you could use any DAW of course for Nectar 3. And I've prepared a song for you here today. It's a Sarah Bareilles song called She Used to Be Mine, and my partner Susie has kindly provided us a vocal on it so we can test things out. And she did this on the condition that she won't be shown on camera, of course. Whoops. So with that said, I think we can get started. We're going to go into the mixer here, and as you can see, Nectar is already in there. And just as a note for later, you will see we've got another plugin on the piano here called Relay. That's another iZotope plugin, and we'll be using that later, so keep that in mind. So here's the Nectar interface, and I've got to say straight off, it looks really, really different to their previous interfaces. I'll show you. I've got a web page here, and this is how their first version looked, and this is how their second version looked. So it's a really, really different style of interface they've gone for, and I've got to say I, for one, like it. Now, down to the bread and butter. Let's have a listen to the track before we use Nectar.
It's not simple to say that most days I don't recognize me with these.
So that's the beginning section I was talking about. A bit later on, we have a part where the band comes in. Have a quick listen to that.
It's not what I ask for. Sometimes life just slips in through the back door.
So as you can hear, quite a bit more fuller. And then we get a big sort of crescendo towards the end, or the middle to the end.
You who be reckless just enough, who get hurt, but who learns how to toughen up when she's bruised.
So quite a lot more going on in that section, as you can hear, so there's quite a bit to contend with in terms of mixing. But anyway, this is our starting point. Nectar has an EQ for us, and they seem to start off with a little bit of a high pass filter going on there. There's a compressor, which the threshold's right up to 0, so it's not doing anything, and a pitch correction tool, which is an interesting thing, which doesn't seem to have an off button, but you can mix it completely out. But the real bread and butter of this, the thing that we really want to try, is the vocal assistant. So we'll click on that. Now the idea here is that it's going to analyze the track when you play it and get you into a kind of a ballpark area where you can go on adjusting from there. That's the assist tool. We've also got the unmask tool. Now, do you remember I told you we put a plugin on the piano earlier? Well, that's because I felt that the piano is the main instrument throughout the piece, and the unmask tool is going to adjust the sort of EQ on the piano so that it's not interfering too much with the vocals. So we'll see what kind of result we get from that. So we will use the assist tool, we'll use the unmask tool. Click on next. Now, you've got some different vibes here, interesting terminology. There's a vintage vibe, a modern vibe, and a dialogue vibe, which is really for when you're doing things like I'm doing now, just talking over the top of things. The intensity section is the intensity with which you will apply whichever vibe you've selected. And then down here, you select unmask. I'm going to click on the relay plugin, which I put on the piano. Now for this song, I'm going to keep it on a modern vibe, but I'm going to apply the intensity lightly to begin with. And you'll also note that I'm choosing to play from this one of the louder parts of the song, which is this chorus towards the end. And I've found from a little bit of experimentation that that's the best way to go. So I'll click on next, and it waits for me to start playing the music, so I'll do that. Okay, so it's done its analysing and I've accepted the results. So let's see what it's done. I'm going to go to the pitch control down here. Now, I'm in two minds about this. I don't normally use pitch correction, but I know a lot of people do, and it's kind of fairly standard these days. So if I was going to use it, I'd at least select the correct key, which is F major for this song. The next thing it's put on there is a gate, which it hasn't actually done anything with, so I will delete that. And then it's got EQ1. So this is kind of what I said I would do, which is a subtractive EQ. It's selected some frequencies here. You can solo them and see what they're like. So we'll click on the solo. So you can hear there what kind of frequency is selected. Do this one up here. And that all seems fairly reasonable. The only thing I'd say is there's a couple which aren't really used. You've got the 6th one up here. See, there's a 0 decibel gain on that. So I would just delete that one. And it's got rid of its high pass filter. I would probably adjust that so that it is a high pass filter again, but we'll leave it for now. We'll take it off. And there are the 4 bands which it's chosen to do some reductions in. Next we have a de-esser. Let's have a listen to see what it's done there.
It's not simple to say that most days.
And I really like this feature here. If you click on listen, it sort of works in reverse, and it's just going to play for you the parts which it's actually taken out. Which is kind of interesting and reassuring. So that's the de-esser. Then we've got a second EQ, and you can see it's just taken a little bit out of the lower end, just a little bit of subtractive EQ there, and it's got a sort of a high shelf going on there, which probably helps with the presence a little bit. And then the compressor is over here. Let's see what it's doing on the compressor.
It's not simple to say that most days I don't recognize me.
And it's not doing much in that part of the song, as you can see, but if we move down to the louder part of the song down here, and I'll just unmute everything else.
You who'll be reckless just enough, who get hurt, but who learns how to toughen up when.
So as you can see, the compressor's doing a fair amount of work there. And then lastly, but not leastly, there's a reverb on there. And I've got to say that it always seems to put a similar kind of reverb on there from the times I've used it. We'll have a listen to that.
You who'll be reckless just enough.
Now I don't mind just pushing the reverb a little bit up on the high end here, and I'm just going to push it up in the mix a little bit. We'll listen to it with the rest of the instruments.
You who'll be reckless just enough.
Probably a bit too much.
Who get hurt, but who learns how.
Okay, now the one thing it doesn't really do is mix the vocals for you, unsurprisingly, of course. So I'm feeling that the vocals are a little bit overpowering in the whole mix there. So I'm just going to go over to my mixer. I'm going to pull them down a little bit and probably just push them up until I feel happy.
Who'll be reckless just enough. Who get hurt, but who learns how to toughen up when she's blue.
Okay, I feel pretty happy with that on the whole. So let's have a little listen from the beginning and see what it's done for us.
It's not simple to say that most days I don't recognize me with these shoes and this apron. That place and its patrons have taken more than I gave them.
So this is a really interesting section of the song actually, because if you remember earlier we used a relay plugin on the piano. So let's have a listen and solo the piano and see what that relay has actually done. So we'll take the relay off, we'll solo the piano. So there's the piano without the relay. And that's interesting, it's just done some EQing on probably the sort of mid-range of the piano there, and it probably just lets the vocals come through a bit more. So that's a good sort of overview of what it can do. I will say that when you do the process at the beginning where you use the assist, this makes the biggest difference, whether you choose, well, probably not so much the vintage and modern, although there is a difference, but the intensity. There is a massive difference in when I've previously used it with the moderate intensity and the aggressive intensity. I haven't used it extensively, I just did a quick test before I showed this to you guys, and I found that the moderate was probably going to be much more suitable for your average kind of pop song, something a bit more up-tempo, but for a song like this, the light intensity I thought was working best. So that is a very, very quick overview of Nectar 3. There is so much more to it. There's a whole bunch of other plugins that you can add in there and mess around with. You don't have to use the vocal assistant at all, of course. You could just use it in the same way you've used your normal effects chain, and you could probably get similar results. I'm going to say that for me, there's not too much I could achieve in it that I couldn't achieve with my normal effects chain. Apart from probably the first one, which is, if I just scroll down here, which is the pitch correction, which I don't normally use anyway. Having said that, I do like the workflow. I like the fact that it got me roughly into the ballpark where I wanted to be with the vocals, and that I was able to do some fine adjustments by myself from there on. The quality of each plugin, if you like, within the effects chain seems as good as anything else I use, to be honest with you. So for the kind of money that you're going to pay for this, you're really getting, you know, sort of 5 or 6 or more effects all in one. But I would say the biggest advantage, probably to me at least, is going to be the workflow. That counts for quite a lot when you're under pressure and recording songs. So that's that is Nectar 3, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something from it. At the moment you can get a free trial download which lasts for about 10 days with no restrictions, and that's what I've been using here. So head on over to iZotope and look up Nectar, download it and give it a try yourself, and let me know how you got on. Please leave any comments about any parts of this which I didn't make clear, and I'll try and answer you as best I can, as well as suggestions for other videos that I could do in the future which you guys would find helpful. So there we have it, folks. Nectar 3, not quite magic sourced, but definitely creative sourced. You get a lot in this plugin, so it's definitely worth considering. Thanks for watching. Again, look out for my new videos which should be coming out roughly every Monday or Tuesday. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, do the business. See ya.